All right, is this working for everybody?
Have you? I haven't said anything yet, so.
No, I already said you're good to go.
Oh wait. Oh, you already did?
Yeah, I asked in the chat. See, I was like, can we say? They're like, yeah, go for it.
Oh, when'd you do that?
Like 10 minutes ago.
Oh, I need a second then. Chat.
All right,
So we got
Flats
some.
needs 1 second, Alex, so he can let everybody know what's going on here.
I didn't. I forgot to deafen. Thanks, dude. But I've got Emon. And
Welcome. We're just
Alec.
Flats has to, and Flats can hear us as I'm saying this, which is even better. Flats is just quickly.
Do you want to just do it for me? You can do it for me if you'd like.
Okay, everybody. So
just do it for me. Just do it for me.
in case you're wondering, the reason as to what's going on here is basically Alec Dawson here is going to be joining us. Lead hero design, correct? On that one, lead hero designer.
Hello.
Yep.
How are y'all?
I gotta turn you up a little bit.
Good. Yeah. We're talking about some changes coming pretty soon, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, we're gonna be talking about the patch notes that are gonna be coming out. Sounds like it's gonna be more tomorrow, if I'm understanding this correctly, but ASAP essentially.
Yeah, we're trying to get this out today or tomorrow, but want to talk to y'all about them real quick and make sure everyone knows what's coming.
That sounds good to me.
Cool. Are we able to open it up?
Yeah, we're able to open up the patch notes onto the like our streams and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Show everybody, right?
Yeah. Let's do it then. All right, let's look at the patch notes. They're gonna be in. It's gonna be good to talk about something.
I'm like heavy zoomed in at the top, by the way, and I'm like gonna work my way down.
You're zoomed in on the top. What's going on here?
Yeah, I'm like zoomed in like the top of the thing.
Oh, the patch notes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. How are you? Oh, I see what you're doing.
So like,
okay,
I can see, you can see all the way down to Orisa's.
Okay, I can see down to, I'm pretty much the same way. I can see Ramattra. Oh, this actually works perfectly. I kept the game in the background too. It says Overwatch. We're professionals at this.
Wow, well, look at you go.
Yeah, look at, I have a little bit of a different setup on this one. I'm keeping.
Your probably looks better than mine. Mine's a little scuffed.
All right, this is perfect.
I mean, that's how our stuff always goes, though, to be fair.
Yeah. All right, perfect. So, I mean, I guess we'll kind of get right into it. So obviously, this is the first time we've kind of seen an aggressive like balance patch like this in Overwatch. I guess we can start with like, how you feeling about the patch here? We'll talk about Doomfist and like just kind of having this aggressive balance patch to start. Like it's like first time we've seen this in like I think ever.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, it's been about a week since season 2 launched, right? So we've been monitoring that pretty closely. I think obviously been hearing a lot of people's sentiments in terms of like how certain heroes have been feeling, things of that nature. It's also a timing thing. I think we're about to go on break. We want to make sure we leave the game in a good state during that time. Our mid-season is the first week in January, but it's going to be a little bit lighter in sense because we're pulling some of those changes forward into today's or tomorrow's patch.
That makes a lot of sense, yeah. So that's good. That's good though. I was talking about it a little bit. I like the idea of seeing a much earlier balance patch, especially with like how going into season 2, the meta didn't quite shift as much, or there's been some really strong heroes. Which I think we'll just start with that. The Doomfist changes. Do you want me to kind of go through them, or you just kind of?
I actually want to start on there's a change that's missing here, and I want to start there. Just talk about that. So Roadhog, we had talked about what we wanted to change Roadhog, and it was something we had planned, and it is something that's going to be coming later. There were some difficulties technically that we wanted to solve that didn't get there all the way just yet, but sometime in mid-January there is going to be a patch that does change Roadhog's ability to one-shot, and at that time, he is going to get pretty nerfed. I think over time, what we want to do with Roadhog is look at his kit a bit more closely, so something like a soft rework, and see how he fits in a bit more in the 5v5 environment and what that means for him as a tank. So that is missing here, but there are some changes here that got pulled in actually to hopefully balance that out a little bit.
Wow, that's awesome. I'm excited for that. That sounds awesome.
So yeah, let me clarify there. So the one-shot change that will happen in mid-January. Soft rework may take a little bit more time, right?
Okay.
But that's how we're looking at them right now.
Good to know, though.
Okay. Yeah. So essentially, just there's not going to be a one-shot anymore, and then over time you'll figure out how you want to rework Hog. But as of right now, it will start with Hog will not be able to, I guess, one-shot. Well, we'll have to see how all that is. But that's I can tell Flass was excited on that one,
Yeah,
too.
I may not have celebrated in silence. I didn't, you know.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, I guess we'll see that and that was mid-season was going to be first week of January.
That will actually be a little bit later in January. It's going to be its own patch, actually.
Oh, okay. So just a separate Roadhog is nerf patch. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been calling for this for 2 years. I'm so happy. I can't believe it. This is awesome. It's like my dreams are coming true. Sorry.
That's perfect. All right, well, there we go. So that is confirmed that. So Roadhog will be nerfed in January in a patch, and there will be no one-shot. That is the confirmation on that. So next, I guess we can start talking about the Doomfist changes.
Yeah, it will be a lot weaker. Let's say that. Yeah, but let's move on. Let's move on to Doomfist. Yeah, you want to chat about them? List them out for everyone?
Yeah, we can do that right now. So what we have here is Rocket Punch cooldown was increased from 3 to 4 seconds. Did you find that it was just up too much, essentially?
It's kind of a combination of all his cooldowns. You know, I think having something always to do, there's a little bit less of that management that we want, and there's a lot of punching happening. So just going back up to 4 seconds, that was something that changed previously as he moved into the tank role, right?
Okay, that makes sense in that one. And then power block. So this is an interesting one too, because I've seen it happen a lot now with the change recently where everybody's getting charged. So minimum damage mitigated required to empower Rocket Punch increased from 80 to 100 damage. So now one thing about this that I've seen in pretty much every single quick player rank game is that Doomfist is constantly charged. So this change is to kind of, I imagine, shift that a little bit so you don't see Doomfist with empowered punch 24/7.
Yeah, he's constantly charged, but also I think with Doomfist, you know, we said as these changes were going out in last week's patch that these were aggressive changes. I think for some context there, the changes we were making for season 2, we were making pretty early in season 1. I think it was about 2 weeks in or something like that, where a lot of the things we were hearing about Doomfist was, and we didn't actually have data yet on him, but a lot of things we were hearing was in terms of where he was. People didn't think he was very good. He ended up being a lot more viable than I think the community thought overall. But without sort of that thing that we were able to look at, I think we overshot a little bit. So we're pulling back here with these 3 changes just to get him more in line with the rest of the tank squad.
Yeah, I think that's a great change because, you know, with the cooldown going to 3 and the block going to 2.5, you're right. Like you always had a button to hit, and I think that was probably frustrating for a lot of people. And the 20 extra, like, to charge up his punch at least gives you a little bit more time of, you know, everyone on the team can shoot 1 bullet before they realize, oh, not supposed to shoot that, instead of, you know, 2 people do it and it's like, oh, well, now he has power of a punch, like we're all gonna get punched now, yay.
Yeah, which I mean, and you know, that makes sense, and that's what I like about I think the early patch here is that you go with that aggressive change to Doomfist, and then right away you're like, okay, let's go change that, instead of just like we gotta wait till January to see that. So I really like seeing that.
Agreed.
And then the other, the passive here, the best defense, temporarily health gained per target hit with abilities decreased from 40 to 35. So essentially less HP when you hit targets with Doom.
Yeah, pretty mild one there. But I think overall, you know, something else about Doomfist, part of the reason we want to pull back pretty quickly is, you know, we've heard a lot from more players in terms of how they feel, and Doomfist in particular gets back there and terrorizes the back line a lot. So we want to pull back a little bit of his power there and create a bit more of a better environment for our support player.
I think Doom will still be pretty good with these changes.
Yeah, totally.
Exactly, especially with the ultimate being better too. I think Doom will be pretty good still. I mean, we go against some really good Doomfists, and they can be really good.
Yeah, I think we saw at the end of season 1, like we started to realize that like you just kind of had to learn the new play style. I guess is like we hadn't had enough time to learn it yet, and you know there was very good Doomfist players that are playing like very high up on the ladder that were making it work and making it work well. So I think that, you know, support players especially are the ones that were probably suffering from all the buffs. So I'm sure they'll be happy with these changes.
Yep, I agree. So then we go to Orisa. So this was a hero that, if I'm correct, wasn't listed on the initial tweet about what heroes are going to be changed. Is this one of the changes that was going to maybe be in mid-season and has been moved to this patch notes?
There was a chance it was happening there. It's also, we look at Hog, who's performing well against Hog in particular. I think Orisa has been doing pretty well there. So, 2 changes here, and she's going to be a bit more viable. I think the Terra Surge chain for her ultimate, I think right now we're pretty happy overall with how her kit feels. I think you have a lot of versatility. You get to hit buttons a lot. I think that feels pretty good. But the ultimate itself hasn't been very strong. So I think with looking at that, are there ways we can change it in terms of like how can it be more effective in more situations? And this is a little thing where now it will pierce through barriers, so it helps you out in some situations.
I mean, I think that's going to make the ult a lot better.
Yeah.
I think I've seen that ult, the amount of times that if you go against any tank with a shield, it just blocks it completely. So to see that it's going to do that now, I'm very curious to see how that plays. That is going to be,
Because I think Sigma's like the dark horse tank right now. Like you have like Hog and Doomfist, probably the 2 best. Orisa is like the counter to, or like good against Doomfist and Hog. But then you have like Sigma, who's like kind of like this weird equalizer. And I honestly, being able to just put shield up right in between her ults was just like free value. So I'm very curious to see if that'll make her a lot better.
Yeah, I am too. I mean, I've been playing a lot of Orisa, so if I ever go against any shield,
she's fun
right now,
she's very fun.
She is fun. Yeah.
Oh, I've talked about that. The rework to Orisa has made Orisa like such a fun hero to play. Whether or not Orisa's full meta, I think Orisa's still just fun to play. I've been going Orisa a lot against Hog. And that goes to the next thing here. With Fusion Drive, the damage fall off range increased from 15 to 25 meters.
That's big. That's a big one.
Yeah, it helps like where she can, play from in terms of her range. I think Orisa, you're still going to want to get in. You're still going to want to like jump onto some of the squishies and things like that. But that situation is not always happening, right? So this is going to help her in a lot of those more neutral situations.
I'm looking forward to that. It's still allowed to do a little bit more damage, which is nice, especially at that range.
Yeah, and poke people
be
up
really nice.
as they're walking out.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to see the Orisa changes, so I'm excited to play some Orisa because I've already been playing Orisa even before this, so I'm looking forward to that.
Well, we're playing Orisa at least for a week because I think there's some big changes coming up here in a sec.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if we're gonna play a lot of Orisa.
We're moving up. Don't worry. I just moved up to Ramattra.
Yeah.
So
let's talk about it.
This is going to be interesting. So, Nemesis form, movement speed increased by 20% in Nemesis form. Now, I do have one question. Does that mean when you block, you also get increased movement speed in Nemesis form too? So, like when block slows you, does that continue to?
There's still the penalty there, but it's an overall move.
Okay, I guess I was wondering. Yeah. So, 20% movement speed in Nemesis form. Which one thing we saw in Nemesis form is you go in Nemesis form, people run away. Yeah, exactly.
That applies to the ult as well, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, and that's so this used to be in there, I think, during Ramattra's development, but this is where it gets a little scary with the ults. I think from our side, we're like, oh man, if part of the game plan is to run away from the ult, but now Nemesis form has that movement speed increase, it's a little scary to put that in. You're like, when is the ult going to end? But I think if that becomes an issue later on, we will just look at the ult and see like what to do about that max duration, perhaps. But yeah, we want to make Nemesis form better. We want you to go in have a bit easier time going in chasing down targets. I think so. You had the movement speed increase, and then you also get the armor bonus now. So you get 75 more armor. It was 150, now it's 225.
That's gonna be good.
No, that's not good, dude. That's insane. That's actually insane. But I welcome insane though, because. I mean, when a new character hits like this, like, it's obviously going to shake up the meta. I mean, you want to play it, and it's like, even if it ends up being, like, really strong, as long as things, like, get shooken up kind of quickly, I think people will be okay with it. And, there was a lot of people that I talked about in like, contenders, like, scrimming and stuff like that, like, when they tried Ramattra, like, the big fear was, like, it was just a block meta, and you were just going to sit there and just block the entire time, which I thought was, a little tough, So being able to like run in on Nemesis form, I think is going to be so much fun. I think people will enjoy that.
Yeah, and I think part of this is, Hero goes live. They're about to go into comp. We want to take that first week or two to look at how they're doing and, how are players actually using the hero efficiently and where are they going to end up. And we want those heroes to be exciting when they launch, but also when they enter comp, we want them to be in a better state, whether that be a little bit more down, a little bit more up. And here we're going.
Cut out there for a second. I mean, I'm assuming you mean going up.
In terms of buffing, we're buffing Ramattra to make him better. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if it was just me just cut out for a sec, so I was just making sure. For a second.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
I mean, and one thing about that too is the good thing now, and this is something that I know you said you were happy about this. Now that the hot fix system is working the way you want it, like if things like this become too strong, you can always just tone it back. Like pretty much when you see like, okay, wait a second, this is too much movement speed, or like this is, so you have the ability to go and hot fix that rather than have to wait till like in the first season where it took a while to be able to get that first patch out. So that will be really good. And then Void Barrier cooldown reduced from 15 to 13 seconds. That'll be pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we think it's going to be a bit stronger, obviously, with the cooldown change here. It's a pretty long cooldown. I think people are still getting used to how to use that barrier because it's a little bit different than the rest of the barriers in the game, obviously. It has a lot of health, but doesn't last very long. It has this long cooldown. So hopefully this allows you to use that in more situations.
Yep. I think it will. It'll help with timings, too.
Yeah, exactly. You have it's on 13 seconds and it lasts for 4 seconds, and Nemesis lasts 8 seconds. Like, you'll always either pretty much have Shield or Nemesis form, which is quality of life and makes the character feel like it flows well, I think.
Yep. I agree. Well, now we go to a hero that's been talked about a lot.
We scrolling down to Sojourn?
We're going to Sojourn? Yeah, is that where we're going?
It's Sojourn time. So, Sojourn changes. Now, obviously, Sojourn's been talked about a lot and has been a hero that, it's been interesting to get one shot a lot. A lot of changes here. We'll just kind of start right away. The railgun primary fire spread increased by 28%.
Yeah, so we want you to take fights a little bit closer at Sojourn. I think even when you're not just with your right click, we lowered that a little bit. You can still use it from pretty far. It's like 40 meters in terms of the fall. That's still pretty far range. But now the primary spread, I think from the gameplay we're like sitting in the back, almost kind of like, holding that down from the back line, getting a bunch of charge, and then using secondary fire. You're going to have to get a little bit closer to get that charge. So that's why the spread increases here. I think this is probably one of the bigger changes that she's getting out of these 3 changes.
Really?
Because I was going to say, I saw another change here, too.
The second one, I think, is huge.
Yeah. We can talk about Disruptor. So it no longer slows. I think here,
that's awesome.
What we've been seeing, there's obviously some frustration built into that a little bit. But also, what we believe is that that's something, unfortunately, that's going to hurt some of her viability across all ranks, but a little bit less so at the high end. Where some of the other changes might affect her ability more so at the high end in terms of her play style. But yeah, it is a big change, big shift from what she's doing right now. But yeah, it's not necessarily an integral part of her kit. We've seen a lot of frustration with it, and we wanted to be a little heavy-handed here, Sojourn. We want to make sure that these are just 3 nerfs, no compensation here, and we just want to see her go down a little bit in terms of her dominance of late.
Yeah, I think it's big. No compensation, making sure that like we gotta bring her a little bit under control, and I'm really excited to see what that. I'm not a great numbers guy. The 28% in my head, I'm like, that sounds like a lot, but I don't know until I like actually get to play it. But bringing Sojourns closer to the fight, so you don't have the mercy pocketed Sojourn about 3 miles away, just like AC 130ing your whole team away. It's just like, I think that'll be a nice change.
Yes. Like I said, like you were saying, I definitely need to see how it looks with the 20%, but that does sound like a lot, and I imagine it will be. Basically, especially at long range, you just won't be able to. It's just going to be a little bit more difficult. Mm-hmm. And then power slide is now from 6 seconds to 7 seconds.
It's just really good.
It's good ability.
There's a lot. It's one of the best abilities right now, and
it's great.
A little nudge up, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to complain about it going from 6 seconds to anything past that. Like, 7 seconds. You can go 10 seconds if you want. It's fine. So it's going to be interesting to see how the 7 seconds will be. But yeah, definitely some changes to Sojourn, and I'm really curious to see how Sojourn will play after these changes. And if it will be, how well Sojourn still will play in ranked.
Agreed.
Or just in general, like obviously ranked and quick play. There we go. Those are Sojourn nerfs, and then now we're gonna go to Tracer. We're just going back to 5.5 damage, right? Just from 6 to 5.5.
So we went from 5 to 6.
Oh yeah, 5 to 6. Excuse me. Yes.
So the bug that we had in there with the fall off,
Mm-hmm.
it had been there for quite a while. And she was at 5, and we saw her performance was pretty middling. So like, okay, maybe we can go to 6. And now she's doing very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
So we think the sweet spot here is going to be 5.5. Usually when we like to make buffs or nerfs, lean towards making the initial one a bit larger. And now we're kind of pulling back just a bit to get her into where we think it's going to be the sweet spot.
Cool. That's good. Yeah.
Good enough.
It's kind of like when you give Zen 25 extra HP, you see like how good Zen becomes. So then you find like that in between, which is the 5.5. That's good. I think that's fine. Tracer's definitely strong with the 6 damage. So I'm curious to see what the 5.5 is.
Yeah, great.
Heck yeah. Ana changes.
This is an exciting little change, actually.
Yeah.
Finally,
Ana
support
changes.
players rejoice. Ana buffs. Two
Yep,
of them.
Biotic Rifle. Damage and healing increased from 70 to 75.
Yeah, so
that's
definitely
chunky.
There's some break points there that definitely helps her out with, right? I think one thing when we look at supports and we look at how we want to buff them currently, I think there's something we always worry about. We buff their damage too much, we buff their healing too much, they could become these heroes that play a lot differently. Like too much healing in the game creates a lot of different dynamics in terms of our things actually dying when you're shooting at them. Too much damage on support changes their dynamic in the whole team game that we have. But here we did think there was room. And we did think there was room for Ana. This is going to help her out in a lot of situations. Especially, if you do need to be aggressive, you might actually be able to take something out if they're at 225, So I think that's going to help a little bit.
I like the change on nade 2 to 3 to 4 seconds. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think the change with nade was like as Kiriko came in, right? Or was it from the beta 2?
I was in the beta. It was during the beta because it was a lot of...
Yeah, it was during all the antis, but now that cleanse is in the game, I think this makes nade feel a lot more impactful. Because, I mean, at least in my POV, like, because we've been playing a lot of Hog recently, right? Even if you manage to nade the Hog without Suzu right now, it actually didn't feel like that impactful as opposed to what it used to feel. So really excited to, because, we're not going to get the changes because they're not ready yet for Hog. But I think this change alone actually will be pretty massive because there is better counterplay. Even like, Suzu will still cleanse it, but if you bait out the Suzu, that window of punishing whoever gets anti is going to be much bigger now. I love this.
Yeah, overall, we just want to make sure ports feel impactful. So there's going to be more changes. I think mid-season has a few more changes for support, even if it is a light patch. But this one, as you just said, when you land the nade, what's it going to feel like? You're going to feel better as the Ana player on both sides of it. Landing on your folks, landing on the enemy team, it's going to feel a lot better.
Yeah, it's a good change.
Yeah, very good change.
Yeah, supports have definitely needed it too. So to hear there's going to be even more support changes like towards mid-season, I'm sure supports are going to be happy to hear that.
Yeah,
there's definitely some changes on that. And then we go to protection Suzu, which has been interesting because Suzu's been it's so strong. So the invulnerability duration, I just reduced from 1 to 0.85 seconds. I got stuck halfway through saying the word. And I went with it. Okay, I went with it.
You're good, dude.
At that point.
It's a tough word.
Well, no, I can from 1 to 0.85 seconds.
Yeah, so this is really light. This is a very minor change in our eyes, at least. But overall, I'll say we're still want supports. I think people have been calling for some nerfs to some of Kiriko's kit, but we want supports to feel good. We want them to have utility, and we think her E here is feeling really strong in that sense, and it feels good to play as Kiriko. You have a lot at your disposal. So if anything, rather than nerf some of our supports are performing well, we want to get some of the other ones up to their level in terms of feeling that level of capability. But at the same time, it's pretty good. We're tuning down just a little bit here. This is like, so that invul state after the initial impact is going to last a little bit less.
Yeah, I think something important you just said is because support right now is kind of the hot topic for a lot of people, and making sure it feels good and feels impactful is very difficult to balance with with how strong something like cleanse is. If you're heavy-handed on nerfing it, like you're gonna take away a lot of her power at that point, and beyond that, just fun to play. But I like the route you're going. Is like being very, very delicate with, you know, how things are changed, but recognizing, like, you know, there needs to be some small changes, but, you know, want to monitor it over time and bring everybody up a little bit. I think it's good.
Yeah. So that's the whole list there. But this should go live later today or tomorrow. We're working on that right now. And yeah, I'm just any other questions here about the list? Hear y'all's thoughts, etc.
I only got one.
Okay.
So now that, you know, the hot fixing tool is, you know, back in and everything, a lot of people were really, really, you know, upset over like season 1 and Sojourn being dominant for so long and stuff like that. I'm just wondering, is the team looking to be more aggressive if stuff like this happens again in the future? Now that, you know, this is a viable way to patch.
If we have a Sojourn situation like we did, yes, we'll definitely be aggressive in those spots for sure. I think that was something where, you know, it was a combination of she was performing well in data. There was sentiment about how she was performing, and we wanted to change her. When all those things line up, like that is, I mean, that's kind of the dream almost for our side in terms of like how easy it is to come in and be like, oh yeah, we definitely need to make a change here. So that was disappointing that we weren't able to during that time. So if anything happens like that again, obviously we're going to step in, we're going to change things. I hope, like, you know, some of that is present here of how we want to treat some heroes in the time frame, like especially like Ramattra. Want to come in, we saw how Ramattra was doing after a week. Come in, we're going to buff Ramattra, right? So hopefully we can get into a cadence where this becomes more regular. I think there is a balance to that with how big do our seasons feel in terms of those changes coming in versus, you know, the more we patch, it's going to be a little bit more spread out, right? Most likely. So we're still finding that how that cadence is, you know, also meshing with some of our other goals of making the seasonal changes be a bit bigger and chunkier, right?
Yep. I like that. I'd love to see 2 mid-season type patches, like, you know, so they're a little bit more frequent. I'd love to see something like that. So I'm glad the team is committed to, you know, making sure that, you know, season 1 Sojourn doesn't happen again, because a lot of people were really sad about that. So thank you for speaking on that.
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely. I have one thing that now this is going to just be about Junker Queen. Do you feel that Junker Queen with the changes is in a really good spot now, or do you think that Junker Queen will probably have more stuff to come with some of the changes?
Mid-season. that's all I'll say for now. But yeah, there's a few more things we want to do there. Mid-season. It's actually a really spicy change. I think it's a really spicy. But yeah, so a few more weeks, and then she'll get a few more buffs actually.
Okay.
Interesting.
I was just wondering on that one, because I know a lot of people like love playing Junker Queen too. So that's cool to know. I can't wait to see what those changes are going to be.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
I want to play more Junker Queen. I want to play more Junker Queen. She's so fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, that you know, thank you for like joining us here and talking about all the patch notes. Like that was a ton of fun. I really enjoyed that. Like that was.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you. To be able to go through the list and go through the changes and like the reason behind the changes. That's the type of stuff that like I love seeing. I love that type of communication, and I hope that like it's definitely, you know, a consistent thing. Which we've kind of seen that, right? Because there was a Twitter Space a couple 10 days ago, 11 days ago. So yeah, that's awesome. You know, thank you for.
Yeah, we just want to keep doing that more and more often. You know, thanks for having me, and you know, hopefully all the players get their hands on this patch pretty soon, either later today or tomorrow, and see how it goes. But thanks again for having me. We'll love chatting with y'all, and hopefully we get to do this again.
No, absolutely. Thank you for coming.
I have one last question.
All right,
you don't actually have to answer this question. This is more of a rhetorical. Ryan pinned to 250 when?
Can we barter a little bit and say like, well, what if we do if we do Flame Strike instead? What if we do that? How's that
Flame Strike to 100?
How's that sound? Is that a little bit better?
Hey! I'm totally down. I'm down. I'm in. You drive a hard bargain, but I'm totally down.
All right. Thanks for chatting, y'all. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks, have a great rest of your day. Yeah, thank you for coming. Bye.
All right,
that was awesome.
I'm gonna invite you to a quick play with it. I'm just doing some final thoughts.
Absolutely, go ahead.
Oh my god! All right, that was a Okay, that was interesting. Chat, for anyone who wants to see the whole thing, I can show you one more time. I don't think there is technically a public version yet. There was like supposed to be. And I don't know if it's coming out in like a little bit. Like there was a lot of things to try to get this happening, and thank you to Andy and the community team for making this happen. You know, I think myself and many others have been very upset with balance and stuff like that recently, and with communication and whatnot. So I'm glad to see that they're like, they want to come out and they want to talk about like what's happening, and they want to like, they're not running. Like they want to like be like, hey, we're here. Like we're listening. We want to be a part of this conversation. We want to make this game good. We want everything to be, you know what I mean? Like we want this to succeed, and they're doing the steps that they need to do, and you know, talking about the hotfix system and talking about
buffs at this point.
True, talking about the hotfix system, and we got to hear about some cool stuff like about the Roadhog changes that might be coming. Roadhog not gonna have a one shot anymore. Oh my god, dude, that's actually kind of insane. Like Hog doesn't have a one shot. Like I wonder what he would get in compensatory buffs, because like I don't know, like that just seems cool. Like. The one-shots, people get pissed at the one-shots, myself included. I don't like the one-shots. I don't even like one-shotting on tank. I think, like, the only one-shot tanks should be, like, Sigma's Rock left-click melee combo and, like, Rhine Pin. That's it, because you have to, like, yeet yourself across the map. You know what I mean? Like, those types of things I kind of understand, you know? So it's really cool to hear a lot about that. And we even got to hear that Junker Queen's having some big buffs, apparently, at the mid-season. So, like... Hell, we might be able to play some Junker Queen, but looking at these pit chat, we are gonna play. Ramattra meta is incoming. I think when Ramattra hits ranked next week, oh man, I think we're gonna be playing a lot of Ramattra. Just from the 20% speed buff and the armor, you're gonna actually be doing what the trailer once showed of you running at people and punching them down. You know, so we'll see. Spicy changes. We'll see how they go. I think some people look at probably these Sojourn changes and might be a little bit skeptical, because the one-shots hasn't been affected. However, though, this primary fire one might be the big one. I think the disruption shot and the primary fire are going to be the two big ones. Like, one, not having the slow, so you can't build it up as easily off of people that are, like, obviously slowed down. And number two, if you have to be closer, it's easier to deal with the Sojourn. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm in. I'm totally down to see some more. I'm totally down to see this patch. It's either going to be today or tomorrow. They're having I don't know, they're trying to get it out ASAP is what the wording was. If you missed it at the beginning from Alec. So yeah, pretty much.